Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Gracious good morning to you, good people. It's your girl KB. You know what I do, and you know why I do it. It is Thursday morning. It's March 13th, and it's 4:05 in the a.m. And I'm gonna repeat. You can tell by my surroundings that I am at home. I need you to watch the first video entitled "The Ugh of It All" to understand why I am still at home. Normally, I am recording from my palatial office. Just kidding, my office is an office. But normally, this time of day, I'm recording from my office. So, this is giving you like a precursor as to why I am speaking in hushed tones. The rest of the household is still asleep. So, I'm trying not to get too boisterous. You like those $2 words? Anywho, the title of this video is "The Most Dangerous Place for Me to Be." And I entitled it because I want you to think about something which I kind of prompt thought about on a regular basis, and that is our bias. And notice I said our. So, the most dangerous place for me to be is in the imagination of others. Yeah, that part. Now, I shared with you during February, I was talking about my Black experience, my interactions, my thoughts, my wants, notice I said my, and I got accused of being divisive. I got accused of reverse racism. Now, when you look at me, the first thing that you notice is that I am a Black woman. And that's how most of the world sees me. I'm a lot more than that, but that is the first thing, or the first couple of labels, right? So, my conversation was, given this political climate where it is clearly stated that war has been declared on people of color, or war has been declared on the BIPOC community at large, folks on the margin. And by war, I mean more oppression. You know, you want to sing Kumbaya and we're all equal, which we are, but then you applaud movements and legislation that says we aren't. And a lot of people are calling that Christian. Why is my being Black or being female or being marginalized somehow a threat to you? That's a bias. So, I want to clearly state that. And as I was talking, okay, again, this happened during Black History Month. As I was making my points, I said, because of the marginalization and the filtered information that affluent African Americans or affluent people of color should get together and fund news that represents us, for us, by us. Because our news is so filtered, we get information spoon fed to us. There's no such thing as unbiased journalism anymore. Most of the things that we call news theater, or, media magazines, and it definitely has a slant. I think the last unbiased journalistic endeavor that I've seen in a very long while was Chet Brinkley, and Walter Cronkite. And most people are too young to even know who these dudes were. And I'm sure they had their biases. At some point, Mike Wallace was in there, but Mike kind of went off the rails a little bit. And I would put Tom Brokaw on the fringe, Jane Pauley on the fringe. Yeah. And again, I'm sure these folks had their biases, but it never really came across in how they presented news. Okay, now, somebody took exception to my stating that I would like to see news that represented me. And they said I'd gone off the rails and I was being divisive. Then they went to, I thought you were supposed to be a minister. I mean, they went there full force, which leads me to my point. The most dangerous place for me to be is in somebody's imagination. See, you elevated me to a status that I didn't know I had that kind of power. You elevated me to a status in your mind that there was nowhere to go from there. I want to say the ridiculousness of thought at times, when your so-called idols or your so-called reps let you down. Don't look to me for anything, look to God. With that being said, I pulled up some scripture about imagination. Let me just go to it here. Let's go back to Genesis 6:5. And God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Evil thoughts continually. So, that being said, in my talking about Black history, I also talked about this current administration and its policies. And I guess that's where I stepped on toes and bunions and corns because, I was highlighting the hypocrisy of the Christian right, the conservative fundamentalist Christian who was saying what we should believe, but doing contrary. I want to take you to 1 Corinthians 8:2. If anyone imagines that he knows something, he does not yet know as he ought to know. So when you start proclaiming what you know and what people should do, please believe you're following a legalistic rule keeping. You're not in relationship with Christ. You're basically in compliance. There's a difference between being compliant and making true, lasting change, or being humble and receptive to change. And then I'm going to take you to 2 Corinthians 10:5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, yielding to God, not being compliant to a list, not having a set of rules. Because if you look at your nature, you're always trying to circumvent rules, or you're reinventing rules, or you have your own set of standards, and they may be rule adjacent, but they're not what God is calling for. This is an intentional walk. When I say real talk for a faith walk, this is an intentional walk. And you have to yield and submit on a continual basis. But we don't want to do that. We want some huge figurehead to talk to us, to tell us what to do. Hey, when I ring this bell, it's time to pray. Hey, when I say this, it's time to do that. And we're good at that. And we need to look at that. I'm going to urge you, and this may sound weird, but I'm going to urge you to watch the old Charlton Heston original Planet of the Apes movie, because it truly indicates where we are now as a people.